Hello! Welcome back to another reading. I am so glad you could join me today. I hope this episode finds you well. Hello to everyone in the group chat. It's somewhere. I don't know where it is. The live chat, not the group chat. Maybe we should have a group chat. I'm horrible at group chats. Anyway, some quick updates. As I said at the end of the last video, or the beginning, or maybe I didn't. Either way, I made a Patreon announcement last week. I know I did that. There are some changes that are going to be coming to the channel pretty soon, starting probably in June. Keep your eyes out for that. I'll probably be posting a update video just about how the schedule, things like that. So just keep an eye out for that. A huge thank you, as always, to my patrons. You guys are amazing. Your support means so much to me. If you would like to join them and support the channel, there are links to do so in the description, as well as links to my social media if you feel so inclined. I'm not too terribly exciting. I've got my water. Have not said that in a long time. I abandoned tea long ago, and I'm sorry to you tea enthusiasts, but it was just easier in recording these in batches to do water. So, I've got my water. I've got the book, and I think without any further ado, we will jump into The Legend of Luke by Brian Jacques, Chapter 16. It was late afternoon, 2 days out from Martin's former home, when tall rocks hove into view. Rain was falling heavily, and the wind had died completely. The sea surface, though pitted constantly by rainfall, was relatively calm, with notable absence of huge foam-crested rollers usually in the area. Verg stood in the bows, Martin at his side, and relayed directions. Fermo and Denny held the tiller between them, listening out for instructions. "Keep her head out to sea! Stick the course!" Fermo obeyed, but voiced his doubts. "Wouldn't it be better tacking in closer to the land side?" Martin swiftly gave him his answer. No, stay seaward. Verg says their underwater reefs are close to the surface inshore. Out here the sea runs very deep, so the reefs are far below us. Keep her head out." "Right enough. Just as well the tide's running smooth today." Martin agreed. "Aye. Verg says that if any waves start up, you must steer right out to sea, away from tall rocks, and forget the whole thing till ebb tide arrives. Otherwise, the honeysuckle will be smashed against the rocks." Denny glanced fearfully to the horizon. "Oh, seas keep me girt waves clear of us'ns. There'll be nothing worser'n drownded mole-beast, no sir." Trimp and the remainder of the crew stood aghast at the size of tall rocks. Monumental pillars of stone, they reared out of the sea like monsters from the dawn of time, huge and forbidding. For leagues of the coastline the seas were dotted with them, colossal, weirdly shaped, some cylindrical, others triangular or square-sided, their bases festooned with seaweed, kelp, and dark moss above the columns of dark basalt stone. The honeysuckle sail was taken in, and the most expert Gaussum Orbis sat at the rowlocks, knowing their lives depended on the accuracy and sureness of their strokes. The order came when they were almost abreast of a cluster of columns, fronted by one half as big, again in girth and height, as the rest. "Take it in steady! Keep the biggin on your port side!" Trimp held tight to Fulgrim's paw. "Good grief! Look at the size of those rocks, Fulgrim!" Chugger, who had climbed onto the otter's shoulders, clung there like a leech, whimpering, "I'm frightened, Mr. Ful. Chug no like this." Fulgrim tickled the little squirrel's footpaw. "Aye, I'm frightened too, matey. So's the whole crew and even Martin. So we're in good company, I reckons." All else was forgotten, as the monstrous pinnacles loomed close. Fear echoed in Fermo's high-pitched yell. "Bring her round! Bring her the big rock! Push her off and take her in, mates, now!" Rising in a smooth high swell, the sea swept the skiff like a cork straight for the big rock. Paddlers on one side banked her, rowing furiously, whilst Martin and Gaunt joined the others, fending the rocks off by pushing against it with oars and long poles. With an audible sucking and gurgling, the swell receded. Down they shot into a deep trough, with the honeysuckle swerving bravely in a swift arc around the basalt monolith. No sooner were they on the ice, or on the lee side of the rock, than the peril of their position increased. Now they were in a narrow channel betwixt the main column and the others, grouped behind it. Obeying Verg's orders, the Gaussum chieftain sang out, I'm steering for that pack of rocks. Make ready to tie up forward in amidships, but don't tie her fast, mate. Leave slack so she can ride the swells. The moment they were within reach of the grouped pinnacles, Martin whirled a weighted line, as did Fulgrim in the midships and Gomf at the prow. Again the swell lifted them and Fermo shouted, "Heave those lines out, mate!" The strong, slender ropes snaked out and up. 3 iron grapnels clanked simultaneously onto the stone crevices. The honeysuckle was secured safely and bobbed up and down alongside the rocks, with the slack lines allowing her to ride easily on the swells. Logolog Fermo could not stop his paws shaking. He wobbled along the deck and leaned against Martin, pale, breathless, and shaken. By the fur and blood of the great Gausim, at least 10 times I thought we were a goner, mate. Martin grasped his friend's paws, steadying them. You did superbly, Fermo. No beast could keep her on a course like you did. It was nothing short of a miracle. Stamping his footpaw against the deck, Fermo smiled proudly. Aye, and no other craft in all the rivers and seas could have done it like our honeysuckle. What a ship! I'll tell some stories about it to my tribe when we gets back. Verg took a breath. Cupping paws around his mouth, he called out in a quavery voice. Ahoy, the aft ship! Ahoy there! Can you hear me? There was no answer. Fermo felt recovered enough to roar out in a thunderous baritone. Ahoy, aft ship! 'Tis Verg and some company! Ahoy! Martin pulled the shrew to one side just in time to avoid a hefty rope ladder with timber rungs which came out of the rocks and clattered to the deck. Gonf stared in puzzlement at Verg. Who are we shouting to? And what's an aft ship, mate? On the ledge above them a hare appeared. He looked as ancient as Verg, older, in fact, shaking a tremulous paw at Verg as he called down. Where in the name of my auntie's apron have you been, what? I've been sitting up here like a blinking sickly seagull worried about you, sir. Now you come sailing up here pretty as you please, in charge of this jolly old rat's regatta, what? Verg mounted the rope ladder with Trimp's assistance, followed swiftly by her friends. The old mouse argued with the hare as he climbed up the ledge. Oh, give your flapping jaws a rest, Bo. These creatures are friends. They brought me back from the North Shore, which is more than I could say for you. I'd grow whiskers to my footpaws, waiting for you to come back and fetch me, you great floppy-eared, big-bellied, droopy-pawed rock rabbit. The old hare's ears stood up indignantly as he helped Verg onto the ledge. Rock rabbit, is it? You blather-bottom-old dodderer. I've had a barnacle casserole bubbling here for 2 confounded days waiting for you. Bad form, sir. I was going to make plum pudding too, but I flippin' well ain't now. You can go and jolly well whistle for your blinking dessert for all I care. And I hope the casserole keeps you awake all night, ungrateful bounder. Martin popped his head over the ledge. When you 2 creatures have stopped arguing, would you mind moving aside? We've got a ship's crew coming up this ladder. The hare fitted a rock crystal monocle to one eye and glared down at Martin. Oh, have you now? Well, my compliments to you, sir, and your crew. What? I suppose you've come to eat us out of house and home without by your leave or a jolly old tulipip? Verg interrupted the hare's tirade. Ahoy, Bo, mind your manners. Take a close look at young mouse and tell me who you think he is. Bo crouched down, holding his back and grimacing. He brought his face level with Martin's. The eyeglass popped out with surprise as he stared at the warrior mouse. Look! Well, burn my auntie's taters, what? You're a bounder, a rotter, and a curmudgeon, sir. How is it that you stay jolly so young while we've grown old? Not done the sort of thing, I say, bally cad. Martin sprang up to the ledge, smiling. He grasped Bo's paws and pumped it up and down. I'm Martin of Redwall, son of Luke the warrior. Whom do I have the pleasure of addressing, sir? The hare shook his hoary silver head, returning the smile. Knew your father well, sir. Excellent chap. I'm Beau Hare Featherington Corfotosipole. No, I ain't. I'm Bosaw Feathering Hare Cosfotosinclair. No, I ain't. Wait a tick. I am Boehm Feathering Clare, confound it all. Ha! I'm so old I've forgotten my own name. What a disgrace. What? Verg sniggered. Tra Beauclair Feathering So Cosfortingham. That's your silly long name? The hare scratched his scraggy whiskers. Ha! Of course it is. Thank you, old chap. Then, scratching his whiskers again, he turned on Verg.
All the other poor? Who asked you, sir, you battered old mouse relic? When I need some beast to tell me my name, I'll jolly well ask myself. Pish, tosh, the very idea of telling a chap his own moniker.
Verg approached him until they stood nose to nose.
Battered old mouse relic? Well, of course I am. And who wouldn't be looking after you all these seasons? Should have left you on Twin Islands, that's what I should have done.
Martin clasped a paw to his brow, looking beseechingly to Gonf. The mouse thief pushed Bo and Verg apart. Quiet now, you two, and listen to me. Aboard our ship, we got a way of settling arguments. We let any quarrelsome beast settle things by challenging our argument counselor. Fulgrim, come over here. Testing his axe edge by licking it, Fulgrim stood over. Baring pointed teeth, he turned his scarred face from Verg to Bo. The otter's voice sounded like a blade hacking ice. Well now, any beast got an argument to settle with me, choose your weapons, axe or teeth. It don't make no odds to me. Verg immediately hid behind Bo, whose throat bobbed like an apple on a string as he gulped.
Arguing? Who's arguing, old chap? Merely a bit of humorous banter twixt my erstwhile companion and my good self. What? I say, Verg, hadn't we better get these seagoing types aboard the good vessel our ship? They look jolly hungry and tired to me. We could fricassee a shark or two for Fen Fulgrim, or maybe he'd prefer just to gnaw on the mess deck table. Follow me, chaps. No offence, Mr. Fulgrim, sir. Merely a jocular jest. What?
Verg and Bo led them through a perfectly round tunnel in the rock. They emerged on the other side amid the massed pinnacles that stood gazing up open-mouthed in awe at the sight that greeted them. Bo managed to make an elegant leg and bowed slightly.
Welcome to the vessel our ship.
Jammed between the column they stood upon and the one immediately next to it was half a ship. High overhead it stood, lodged between two pinnacles, more than 2/3 of the way up. From midships to forend it was wedged firmly, a huge rusting iron spike at its forepeak driven into the rock by some tremendous force. The thing had once been red, but now through seasons of harsh weather, sea spray, sun, and rain, it was faded to a rose-pink hue. Dinny's voice cut the silence.
Well, fill my tunnel. Half a ship up in the air.
Ascending another rope ladder, they climbed up the old habitation. Trimp stared in astonishment at the immensity of it all. It was like being in some great chamber. Timbered bulkheads with holes for oarports let in the lights, as did the open hatch covers high above them. Fermo's voice echoed spectrally around the vast space as the crew of the Honeysuckle walked through it, wide-eyed. And this supposed to be only half a ship? I'll tell you, mates, could you imagine it before it was broken, with the other half attached? Must have been like a floating village. I wager there wasn't anything the size of a sail the seas. Verg nodded his old head.
Oh, but there was. This is what's left of it. See through those open hatch covers? There's another deck above, and another above that again. You're looking through 3 decks up to the main one, which, if you count, makes for 4 altogether. We keeps the hatches open to give light, batten them down in bad weather. Up these stairs is the forward cabins. Come on, I'll show you.
Martin shook his head as he passed rows of benches with chains dangling from them and long broken oars hanging through ports. They looked well worn from constant use. Bo, was this a slave ship?
Indeed it was, old lad. The foulest, most evil vessel that ever plied the ocean. Now 'tis our home, our beloved half-ship. Actually, 'twould have been half-ship if I'd had my way, but the others called it half-ship, so half-ship it is. Come on and eat now. Questions later. That's the drill.
Following him up the ornately carved staircase, they entered a roomy cabin with its skylights thrown open. It was a complete living area. Tables, chairs, bunks, and cupboards were all about clean and neat. 2 mice, old and gray, were working at a table next to a big glowing stove with its smoke pipe thrusting through the edge of the skylight. Verg introduced them.
This is all that's left of us from those who sailed off long ago from the North Shores. Myself, Doolam, and Denno.
The mouse called Denno went straight to Martin and took the warrior's face gently in both his flower-dusted paws.
No need to tell old Denno who you are, I know. Luke's son Martin. I couldn't be no other beast. You're the spitting image of the great Luke, though you got your mother Saina's eyes.
Martin shook visibly, blinking hard.
You knew my mother?
Denno nodded.
Course I did, and a prettier, more gentle creature than ever was. I knew 'em all, Martin, every beast. But we've got all night to talk of that. Sit and rest now. The food will be ready soon.
Barnacle casserole was a delicious concoction of sea vegetables and shellfish. Gowsome cooks hurried back to the honeysuckle and brought up more supplies. Bo relented, and, aided by Fulgrim and Shrimp, he began mixing a big plum pudding. Gonf helped the Gowsome cooks to bake scones and bread. Martin and Chugger cut up excellent cheese, studded with beech mast and hazelnuts. Dinny put together a salad with any spare vegetables he rooted out. Mint tea was put on to boil, and dandelion and burdock cordial poured from a keg into serving jars. After the tables were pushed together and set, they sat down. Gonf proposed a toast. "To the end of a journey, to my best friend Martin the Warrior, and to the wonderful victuals and good hospitality showed to us by the crew of the Arf ship." Every beast raised their beakers and drank cheerfully. As they ate, Firmo could not resist asking the question which was puzzling him greatly. "Tell me, Verg, how did the forward end of a half ship land up here? It just don't seem possible." Verg munched shewbread and cheese as he explained.
"You're right, mate. I wouldn't have believed it myself if I hadn't been aboard at the time. But here's how it came about. During the biggest storm any beast had ever seen, the Gore Leech, for that was once what this ship was called, struck that big rock pillar out front. I tell you, waves twice as high as this vessel were running on a sea driven by wind and rain. It was more like a hurricane than a gale. Well, she whacked the big rock side on with a force you couldn't imagine. Smashed the Gore Leech clean in two, like an hot knife going through butter. On board the forward end were were horse slaves and sea rogues doing battle. We were flung to the decks like wet leaves in a wind. They were screaming, shouting, and weeping. Every beast was sure they'd met their deaths. The stern half fell backward into the sea and sank in the blink of an eye. Now, the same great wave that sank us carried us, and the other half swirling round to the back of the big rock. Down, down we went as the wave ebbed away in a torrent of sucking and whirling, and we thought we were surely done for. Then another giant wave rounded the rock and lifted us up, easy as a paw lifts a grain of sand. Off we rose, up high in the air. From where I lay on the deck, I saw the two pinnacles as the wave crest flung us forward. Suddenly, a shuddering shock ran through me from tail to ear tips. Then everything went still. I opened my eyes and stood up. We were wedged fast, right up here, the broken midships resting flat on the edge of one column, and the prow on another, with the big iron spike that stuck out front, driven like a nail deep into the rock.
Gaunt forgot the beaker which was halfway to his lips and sat shaking his head. And what happened next, Verg?" The old mouse chuckled as he speared a scone with his knife.
"Me and Bo rallied our fighters fast and finished off those scummy sea rogues before they had a chance to get us. We've lived here ever since. Nothing'll shift the old half ship. She's weathered times and tides, storms and seasons. I never budged a splinter. After a while, we made a rope cradle and rigged a line over the cliffs to the shore. Many creatures left and went off to find their old homes. A score of us stayed here, but that was long ago. Now there's only Doolam, Denno, me and Bo left out of 'em all. Most of our mates died. They're wrapped in sailcloth weighted down with stones, sleeping on the seabed far below us. Fates be kind to their memories."
Martin decided that the time had come. "Tell me, Verg, what became of my father, Luke, the warrior?" Bo rose stiffly and went to a cupboard. He returned to the table with a large dusty volume.
"'Twas all within these pages, Martin. Everything as best the four of us can record. We spent many a winter and autumn night recording the entire tale. It was a joint work. You know, I thought it might be found by some beast long after we're gone. But fate and fortunes have smiled on us, laddie buck. There's food and drink on the table and a long night ahead of us. What? Here, Denno, you young whippersnapper, you can understand your own writing best. Read the journal to our friends. There's a good chap."
Denno polished a tiny pair of glasses. Perching them on his nose, he looked over at Martin.
"I was the scribe, you see. Right, let's start at the beginning. I hope you like the title. 'Tis called In the Wake of the Red Ship, this being an account of Luke the Warrior, written by his friends.
Outside, the eternal seas washed against tall rocks, and breezes sighed a wistful dirge above the basalt columns, where seabirds wheeled and called. In the cabin, high among the pinnacles, Martin of Redwall listened as the saga of his father, Luke the Warrior, unfolded. And thus ends Book 1 of Legend of Luke. We're going to pick up with Book 2. Not next week. I'm going to let a week sit between these two just to kind of pad out the time between these readings. I'm actually moving in a few weeks. So this will also give me a little bit of time to readjust and figure out a new space. Because, guys, this batch of readings, the next few chapters after this, that's the last readings that are going to be in this closet. So I want to thank you guys for sticking with me through all this. I realized the 1-year anniversary of reading Mossflower passed a little bit ago. I forgot to share it. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the readings. If you do, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you to my patrons. If you would like to join my patrons, there are links to do so in the description. Hello again to everyone in the live chat. I hope I see you guys next week. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Hope you have a good week, guys.